Right, so as always, you know what I'm gonna do with you actually? I'm gonna ask you because I haven't asked for a couple of podcasts now.
Yeah.
If you think there's a distinct difference between drum and bass and jungle.
Yeah, I'd say there's a distinct difference. Like there are some that is kind of like blurring the lines in terms of what you could call like commercially drum and bass, but then jungle always has its roots and it's a lot heavier.
Yeah.
I think a lot more break orientated is kind of what I'd look at jungle to be.
It's more jungle, yeah. Because it's just different people got different opinions. Someone said that it's the culture. There's not really a lot of difference between the music per se. It's the culture of like what jungle is and what drum and bass is, and that's where he saw where that was No Nation. He said that's where he saw the difference, and you know, but it's because of what you do, you know, because obviously I've become familiar with your work through, well, I guess it was all around, that similar time when, you know, if it sort of kicked off, and then I became aware of Pick and Mix, and like TJ, you know, and I were chatting a little bit, but then he sort of got involved with Hospital, and then, you know, it's just sort of like I wasn't really chatting with him that much anymore, which is absolutely fine and I understand. But I became familiar with your work and, you know, Lost Child and, you know, so many people. Yeah. And but what I always loved what you did, because where you did those flips, you know, you do those sort of like you take certain tunes, you flip them around to like the drum and bass and jungle, whatever, remixes, whatever. But that is like the essence of what jungle was. You know what I mean? It was like taking a tune, taking elements of it, and then turning into something else. So why did that always appeal to you, or or have you just been doing that just to promote yourself? I mean, what was the thinking behind that?
It's a mix of two. It was like if you bootleg a tune everyone likes, especially like people would love to hear songs that they know and like on drum and bass because they like drum and bass too. Yeah. But it was also as well like sometimes I'd want the song, like maybe if it had a cool vocal or like, that was a cool thing, and I'd want to play that in a set to use. It was kind of just whatever I was feeling like. I just figure out and like try and find something and then try and actually make it fit into drum and bass rather than some songs are just like they basically taken the build up of the song and then just stitch their own song onto the end. Yeah. But I wanted to like try and actually make the song feel as if it was like an actual remix. Yeah,
that's true. Because I always give Urban Dawn he's a pal of mine and his cover, because I think it's officially a cover of Come Together, was outstanding. And it was sort of like a bootleg at first, and they sort of like fiddled it and made sure it was a cover so they could put it out and all that sort of stuff. But I always rated him for the fact that he kept the energy of the original tune and still managed to hold that in the music, like in the release. So I guess that's something you've done, and then you've done like Donio, and you've done all these different people. And if you haven't checked out his channel, what's the channel?
So soundcloud.com/RDX.
That's it. SoundCloud. Make sure we'll put the links obviously in the description. But if you haven't checked out his SoundCloud channel, I urge you to do it, because honestly, there's tunes on there that I loved as the original format, and I love his version of them as well even more, and it's just been so much fun. Like, Teenage Dirtbag's probably my favourite. I still really like the Teenage Dirtbag one, because I always like that tune anyway. And then you sort of made it into like a nice, sort of like, almost not, I wouldn't say liquidy, but just like a rock, like a nice roller kind of thing. So, how long have you been making music? How long have you been involved?
Well, making drum and bass, so electronic music, probably around like 5-6 years now.
Right, okay.
But when I started, originally I played drums and bass guitar, so I was originally making I was into metal and rock heavily, which is why I was doing all the remixes now, because I was into all of that like properly, like playing death metal, heavy metal, hardcore, like all over. Yeah, so I was doing shows and stuff like that, and then I learned how to use Logic at school to also record the instruments, and then I started getting into drum and bass. My friends at the skate park showed me it was a leveler song, like an old Jump Up one, and I think it's like always, especially like when you see me mix, it was like it's all about energy for me. Yeah. So metal and drum and bass go hand in hand, like Prodigy, Pendulum.
Very much so.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. So started going into that. Then back then there was only like squat raves going on. Yeah. So when I was like 16, in college, like a tenner every week was a little like expensive. Really. Yeah. So my friend was like, "If you learn to DJ or whatever, then you can play on them and you'll get free entry." So that was why I started doing it. And then it was like, well, if you're going to DJ, you've got to make the music as well to play. So just started watching YouTube, dabbling, and then just kind of kept it going from there, really.
That's amazing. And would you say that would be, because it doesn't seem like that's like a natural evolution from someone to go to metal, from metal to jungle or drum and bass. Although I know there are examples, you know, like Clute is probably the most well-known example.
Yeah.
You know, he was definitely a metaler. I mean, there was a guy called Boomerang back in the day who used to make, you know, sort of like be involved with metal as I understand it, and then started making drum and bass afterwards. But like, there is definitely a link. There's definitely an affinity between jungle and drum and bass. Certainly the sort of jungle and drum and bass that I play as well, with a more chopped up sort of aggressive stuff in some regard. And especially when I go to America, a lot of the places that I play is usually in metal clubs. Like, so, I mean, what do you think would be the future? Where do you think it's all going? Where do you think, like...
It depends really kind of what you're following, because there's the whole movement of like the dance floor style up right now, which I think is the most commercially malleable. Like you can have like a Dimension tune that's like beautiful vocals and harmonies and strings, but then he can also do something that's like really aggressive or quite dirty, but you could still hear it on Radio 1 if they wanted to play it. So I think it's kind of more that style, and then there's going to be a lot more of the, I think, return of the underground, because I think everything is like cyclical. So the stuff that's kind of was in before fades away, and then kind of comes back. Like Jump Up kind of just faded away for a few years, and then Rollers came up and was the big thing. Now Rollers are kind of going down, and now everyone's making Jump Up again.
Right, okay.
And like then there's kind of like, there's different sections as well, like the dark and techie kind of side I think is in its own like little lane, and you got like the neuro heads who are just on their side, and then I think with like Neo Archives especially coming back, flying the flag for jungle, like I think that's going to make more of a resurgence with like the heavy amens and stuff.
Do you know Nia at all?
No,
okay.
But I love her stuff. Like,
yeah, I'm a big fan as well. I've been really pleased to see what's been happening with her, and like she's definitely someone up there that, you know, people have been sort of quoting to me and saying, "Oh, have you checked out Nia?" Yeah, I've heard about her. You know, I saw about her years ago, and I think, you know, she was like...
Yeah, I've been following her for a few years, and I always liked she's got a distinctive style and branding, which is very marketable. It's the, I think it says on her thing, it's like the DIY style. So it's like, when I saw it was like all old VHS kind of shots, and everything's very just kind of like, not like crap, but it's like, it's, I don't know like the kind of word, it's like everything's just kind of very just like homemade. It was like, you know, bootleggy, just kind of like you buy a tape from someone, you know, and put it in and play it on your VHS. It's like got that authentic kind of feel. It's not high budget, or it's not like really polished, it's just raw, especially how jungle is supposed to be.
And I mean, you I mean, obviously you've caught it like a bit like myself, you've caught it some controversy in the past. I mean, I know I said I was going to check with you. It was alright time, and like, obviously when we first got involved, when you were getting involved with Eloisa, the label manager at the time was sort of like, "Oh no, you shouldn't," and I was like, "Well, why?" Like, you know what I mean? And then they sort of told me a little story about what had happened, you know, sort of a few years back, where you made let's just say an error of judgment. I think it's probably the fairest and easiest way. I mean, we don't have to go into it, or how do you feel about? Do you want to discuss it, or you feel like it's part and parcel? You've gone past it. Yeah,
it's just gone past it. Really, the thing is, I made up with the person, and you know, so I believe in karma and things like that. So my conscience is clean. Anyone who knows me knows it's not really how I am. But back then, especially when I was like entrenched, like I used to go, because I was basically playing, or everyone was always playing shows. I was raving every week, getting off my face on whatever stuff, and with a lot of people who aren't the best to be around. So that kind of happened, but then it was also a blessing that the pandemic also happened as well, because I was just like every weekend, just like I don't really take anything at all besides maybe smoking sometimes, but like it was literally just really bad drinking to excess. So having that time off to kind of detox myself and my brain, and kind of figure out what I wanted to do, because I was kind of just not really feeling it anymore, but because it was something I've been doing for so long, I just kept going with it. So having that time off, and then now just kind of rebuilding, and you know, people I think see the nature of my character and what I do. So like putting out the tutorials and stuff, feels like I want to help people, spread the positivity.
Well, I mean, I felt that, you know, we all make mistakes. It was obviously, you know, it was silly. Everyone knows it was a silly thing to do, you know, but what I remember saying to myself, well, you know, if no one gives Evan a chance, you know what I mean, to like make amends, then he's just never going to get a chance. That's why I always respect you. I spoke to you about it at the time. We had the conversation, and then like, you know, I feel like, you know, you've pushed on massively from that, and actually there's an argument that if that hadn't happened, you know what I mean, you know, things might have been different for you. I think sometimes you've got to make that big error sometimes, right, in order to sort of grow from it. So talk to me about pick and mix. How important have they been to your development?
Yeah, so pick and mix has like been absolutely great. It was like, because from when I started off raving, I was listening to TJ and JP's mixes.
Oh, sweet, Phil.
Oh yeah. I was listening to their mixes on SoundCloud before I even knew how to DJ. And then so TJ and JP used to like they DJ together. They still do. But then me and my friend Rex at the time is another mixed race guy. So we had like our own duo, and people would be like, "Oh, you two versus them two." So that's how we kind of became friends with them. And then just we had a group basically. We kind of called Brown Team because it felt like there wasn't a lot of representation of young coloured people in the scene, so we had that kind of as a joke, like we've got non-brown people in there, people of all different stuff, but we had that kind of just like as a group, and we were all friends as well, like from the core. So then when TJ started the label, it was like an outlet for so much like underrepresented people as well, and underrepresented producers who were coming up. So just working with him and things like that, and he's got a very good mindset, especially for business, and a very good attitude with like what he does. So kind of just working with him, being like associated, being around people as well who are driven and creative, and also just understand like the ways you have to navigate as a black male and a black male in the scene.
Yeah,
like there's definitely different avenues you have to look at, or ways to be perceived and things like that you've got to think about that some people don't kind of get. And I didn't really realise it, especially about like representation, until of literally all things I watched Black Panther, and I was like, for once I was just like, it was good just to see just like loads of just different coloured faces and
on the screen.
So after that, it was like, I kind of realised especially how much it is for people of all colours, backgrounds, sexualities. So I was like, it's important that you get to see something that reminds you of, who you are or what you are.
Because that's what I'm saying, it's like there was that group, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of frustration, I think, at the time, and when everything kicked off, I got invited into that Facebook group, I don't know if you remember, and that's where I got to know a few of you. And I think there was some distractions, I think, from some certain individuals that I think sort of like clouded the issue a bit, and like they took things personally, and then I felt like, hold on a minute, no one's chatting in the group anymore. Oh, they've gone off and started another group, and it's really obvious. So I left you guys to it, because I was the old man in the group, and it was fine, you guys were doing your thing, and I was absolutely just happy to see that there was some sort of thing happening. I was just pleased that something was happening. And then Anton Bailey reached out to me from Invicta Audio, and then we had a number of great chats, and I sort of hooked him up with the Cygnus guys and got his digital distribution and helped him get all that sorted out and everything else.
Cygnus is great.
Yeah, Cygnus are fantastic, they're brilliant. And so it was just nice to know that there was sort of like, two sort of, essentially black run labels with guys under the age of 25 that existed. Do you know what I mean? Because I was just sort of like, well, I felt as though, the future was, safe. Or at least there was some hope for the future, because all that I could see was the opposite to that. When the shit kicked off with me, all I could see was like, well, it's just crowds of white people. How are we going to get kids back into this shit? You know what I mean? Or kids of any colour, you know what I mean? Back into this shit. But it didn't seem like it was ever going to happen. And then, I saw Pick and Mix and Invicta, and then you've both just kind of kind of blown up. So, I mean, do you have plans to work with Anton, or have you worked with Anton?
No, I haven't really. I don't really know what I'm kind of doing with music at the moment. I'm kind of just trying to get back in the groove of making stuff consistently, especially or getting ideas down I'm happy with. Like, I can do the bootlegs and remixes, and I'm kind of doing them just, like, as content to keep my algorithm going. That's why I did last week, just the Monday to Friday.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, because I hadn't posted anything really for a good while, so I just wanted to just get all of the old stuff that was kind of sitting there that people have been asking for, just get it up there, get everything kind of pumping again, and then slowly start putting stuff out. Like, I think my first release next year is on Rubricate Records. They're making artist LP, so I've done like a dance floor kind of heavy track for that, and then I've got the 4 tracks with you lot that are there.
Louisa, coming soon, we're coming back next year. But
and then I'm working with Runtings in Bristol.
Oh, cool.
So I'm signed with them for like a few tracks as well. So I've got to do him a few more to send over, but I just don't want to be putting out stuff I'm half-hearted with. I want to know after I made that tune or it's going somewhere that I'm like, this is good. Sometimes, it takes long and people get frustrated or people get impatient, but I think when it comes to quality, not quantity, you've got to sit there. And it's hard because I feel like I'm not doing anything because I'm not putting stuff out. But in the long run, I know it's going to benefit me more.
It always does. Yeah, it's really important. And I mean, is there anyone that, sort of, you don't have to say me, it's fine. But no, seriously, I mean, are there any producers like you would sort of like say, well, yeah, he's someone that I listen to their music and I'm thinking, you know, that's, you know, or have you always just sort of thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm just doing my own thing and whatever, or was there anyone else that you sort of kind of like looked up to, or?
Yeah, like when I started, it was Leveler for me because I just got into all of his jump up, like just straight from the gate. So it was, I remember the first time I met him, I won a competition for Next Hype, but it was the first Next Hype I won, and just sod's law, the one time I actually win after like I put about like 4 entries in, not gotten through the competition, and then the one time I win, rather than it being fucking Vauxhall, it was in Birmingham. So my parents drove me down, and like, we got like a travel lodge, and I was playing, like X-Man called me up, and I remember I was like, at the time I was like, oh my god, he wants to call me and talk on the phone, and he was basically like, look, can we move you to like the last set? And I was like, yeah, of course, man. I was like absolutely starstruck at the time when I was like freshly 18. So then I got there, and it was like literally it was like 5, 6 in the morning, and there was like 2 people in there. My mum was like the only one raving, supporting, but that was it. And I remember I got there and I met Leveler, and I saw him, and I was like you're the reason I got into this, because literally if I hadn't heard that tune, it just smacked me in the face, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, it was so good. And so then started working, and then got to work for Multifunction, like with their events after a while. So that was like the first kind of person I properly looked up to. But I never really listened to much drum and bass, which I'm trying to do more, because I need to kind of get inspiration and see what the kind of styles are. But yeah, I try to listen to like as much diverse music as I can. Like 1 minute I'll listen to like Japanese hyperpop to like jazz to like lo-fi beats.
Sorry, hold on. Sorry. What the fuck is hyperpop? Remember, I'm old, man. You're gonna have to educate me. What's hyperpop?
It's like really kind of fast, electronic-y, kind of like.
Is it like the stuff music you hear at the end of like the games and stuff? There's like that sort of like trance, like. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, my son listens to some of that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, just like I listen to a mix of everything, like when I can, just to kind of, because there's so many different influences or styles in so much more music now. So like I might hear something in like one of the Japanese tracks, it's like, oh, they got some nice chords. Yeah, that was why in that track Run that I send you, it has that kind of like dun, 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 That's because I heard it like that, and they do it in like a genre called future bass, which is kind of like, it's like happy dubstep kind of, like the best way to describe it. So like they have cool sounds and different things, and I was like, okay, I can implement that into a song, or like I might find just some cool melodies or something else, but okay, how can I kind of interpolate that without actually like just ripping it off, but kind of take the vibe of it and put it on drum and bass. So I just kind of, whenever I sit down, like I'll just get on Logic, I'll make drums from the ground up if I want the sound, and then just build on top of that. Like never really go into it with like a, sometimes I'll be like, I want to make an angry sound, sometimes make it like a roller, or like a liquid. So it depends really what I'm feeling. Right,
because I showed my son your videos, because I always like it when there's like a younger producer, and I'll be honest, younger mixed race producer as well, because I want him to see that there's something in the scene for him. And the first thing he said when he saw your shirt was, "Oh, that's a Narrato shirt." That's the first thing he said, sweet. So clearly, and again, you're repping Cowboy Bebop. So manga is clearly a massive part of an anime. It's clearly a massive part of your influence in your life. I mean, like, how important is it? I mean, is it something that you watch manga every day? Is it, or you know, what is it? What's so great about manga and the anime thing? Or is it just that it's just fucking cool in Japanese?
It is that, but it's also, it's basically, it's just like TV shows. So, and a lot of them like have been going on for years. Like I've been watching Naruto since I was like maybe like 10 or so.
Wow.
So it's been going on, and then they have like the extensions. But then there's loads of different styles. So there's like action ones, then you've got like ones that are just like slice of life. There's one that's like, I'm always cool, but it's just like a dad and he just looks after his daughters, and it's just really nice, like, you know, like
a soap opera.
Yeah, it's just like he just looks after them, and there's like, you know, whole episode could be just him in like the big supermarket thinking what to get them, and it's like, but then you can watch something that's super gory, or you know, detective, like there's just loads of different stuff, and it's like people kind of look at it as just because it's a cartoon, you know, they don't give it a chance, but then they'll sit and watch Family Guy for 6 hours. So it's like just been something I've been watching, and then having lots of friends growing up who do, and they put you onto more shows that are like really good, and a lot of them have like really good writing and actual characters. So it's just been something I like, and I always liked art and drawing. I wish I could draw. I was used to when I was younger, but always been shit. So I put down the pencils. But just I like the style, I like the grittiness. And then just like, you know, that's what I mean. You go out and people are like, oh yeah, I like the shirt or this and that. Like when I went to Next Hype, like half the time people weren't even like saying, oh, I like your music. They're like, the shirt first, and then they're like, yeah. because it's when other people see it, it's like, yeah.
Because when I was, well, obviously it's a long time ago now, but I got introduced to manga like most was for Akira.
I love Akira.
I mean, it's classic. I mean, I heard that Leonardo DiCaprio's, bought the rights
to
the movie, and that there's talk of a live action coming. I kind of hope he does it, and I kind of hope he doesn't. You know what I mean? It's one of them things, because I mean, what was it, Battle Angel Alita? I thought wasn't bad.
I never seen that movie. Like,
you never watched it?
No, I kept seeing it advertised everywhere.
It was pretty freakish how they got her, the eyes and everything. It was pretty mad, and it was very well done. It's a shame they never bothered with the second one, because obviously they set it up for another one. And I think, what's his name, James Cameron sort of went against, because I think everyone was really like, it was a bit, I think it was the PC brigade got to it, and they were saying, oh, why have you made her this way? It's like, because she's a fucking android. Like, do you know what I mean? It wasn't about making her look sexy. It was like, I don't know, it was weird how people reacted to that. But I was introduced to manga, partly Akira, but also through Orotsuka Doji 1 and 2 and Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, I like Fist of the North Star.
Fist of the North Star is just, I mean, I watched Jacob I think he just watched it for the first time, because he's 11 now.
Yeah.
Like, some of the gory parts, probably a couple of years ago, would have been a bit freaked out, and now he's just about able to watch it, you know what I mean? But just that noise, you know what I mean? Like, he used to run around just like punching people like as many times as you can. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, and it was so cool, and it was just, I remember the scene when he's like walking, when he finally gets the reveal, innit? And he's walking towards these guys that are terrorising that girl, and then the building falls on him, and he just keeps walking through the building as it's falling on him. And it's like, how hard is this geezer? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can just keep walking through buildings. But I just love the fantastical nature of it, and obviously as a Marvel Comics fan, I was brought up on Stan Lee, really, and then you got this different style of comic, and this different style of showing or telling stories, shall we say. It was always fascinating. I guess it has been, that world has always influenced drum and bass quite massively. Aren't you surprised, though? Maybe you might have an opinion, maybe you don't have opinions, but I've always wondered why there hasn't been like a more drum and bass in manga. I mean, you might correct me, but I've never really seen much of it going back the other way. I'm surprised that no one's thought of doing like a manga or an anime about drum and bass.
That would be quite cool, because they use it like a lot of actual songs that like they kind of make for like the shows and stuff. A lot of them now are like what we kind of called like breakbeat now. So there's like a lot of times I have like an intro, and it's basically kind of drum and bass, but it's just kind of chopped breaks. So that's why I found a few, and I'm going to start doing remixes of them. I was like, okay, try and combine the two, find something else as well that might be a bit different. But yeah, they definitely could, because they use it like quite a lot for a lot of the songs, and it's it's like drum and bass light. So I reckon it would be cool to make one.
I mean, are you a gamer at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you playing?
No, I'm PC now.
Oh, what are you playing? What's the game now you're playing?
Spider-Man Miles Morales at the moment.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
The new one.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I beat the first one, and then I mainly play a shooter called Valorant, which is like it's a competitive like FPS one. So that's literally it. Like most of my time sink. And it's like, it's hard trying to get myself down to right, I'm going to make music. And then I'll be like, I'll just take a break, play, one match. And it was like, each match, like, because it's competitive, it takes about like 45 minutes. Yeah. So, and then it's like, well, I can't, go back to it when I've lost a game. I've got to win one.
You got to win one before
and then before I know, 3 hours is gone.
So you're 3 hours, 4 hours later, you're still on it. I mean, I still played Call of Duty. And I've got, weirdly, Hitman 2. I love Hitman.
I like Hitman, yeah.
I just love the way you can play the same level,
multiple
times, just do it multiple ways, and then find out, oh, you could have done that, you could have just poisoned him with the crackers and just done that, and then I would have killed him, do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what that says about me, but I do like poisoning people. I don't know what that says. It's probably like one of them things where the psychologist would look at it and see how you kill people. It's like, that says like, or something, you're like stabbing people up with a screwdriver or something.
It's like, I like those, but it's like half the time I don't as well have the patience. So sometimes I'll do it like properly, I'll be sneaky, and other times I'm just like, you know what, just get the guns, get the knife. Yeah.
Have you seen that geezer who does the Kill Everyone challenge on YouTube?
I need to watch that.
Yeah, it's hilarious. He basically just goes through every level and just murders everyone. It's so quick. Like all the NPCs, everyone, just kills everyone. And it's just like, and that way it's just like, and then you can still see you can still tell there's someone on the game because it's like someone's searching, isn't it? So he just goes looking for the final person. It's like, it's hilarious. But I watch Corey Kenshin.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's good. Because I wanted my son to watch a black YouTuber, like, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, he grew up watching all like Unspeakable and Jelly and you know, some others, and I'm not hating on them, you know. But it's like, look, the geezer hasn't even got a suntan. Look at him. He's been indoors his whole life, like, he hasn't. You know what I mean? And then Corey Kenshin come on, he's doing like his little he does his little raps and stuff. he cracks me up. I do love Corey Kenshin. You should check out Corey Kenshin. He's hilarious. He's really funny. He does like the horror things and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so what do you think for you now going forwards? You know, you said you've taken a little bit of a break recently, that you're trying to find other things to do. Hopefully you get involved with the A&R with Eloisa, like I said, and we'll discuss that, you know, off camera, obviously. Yeah. But, I mean, could you see yourself starting a label in the future? Could you see yourself, I mean, would you want to DJ more? What do you think your plans are? What would you want to do?
One thing I would like to go into is, because I love just organising and getting my stuff all sorted, so I would love to do like agent work. And like being a booking agent for people, or doing A&R, that kind of stuff. Like, I like a lot of the back end stuff. After just when I was basically doing like 3.5 years of just straight DJing every weekend, just kind of, I don't really have the same drive for it. Like, I like producing and I like just doing all the kind of back end stuff. So
producing your favourite thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on, sorry.
Yeah, no, like DJing is fun and all, but it's just after a while, especially when it was like almost every weekend, you can't really make a new set every single time. So playing a lot of stuff, but what I'd do is whenever I'd have a show, I'd make 30 minutes of the way I mix is every tune blends together.
Yeah.
So over the years, like if I was like in the middle of a set and I was like, I want to play something old, so I go to that old tune and then right under it, I know I've got a blend for it. So at least I'm not choosing a song and then be like, right, what comes next? I just have a stack of tunes that always like mix directly with each other. So I'd start building that up and then just kind of juggling between all of them when I was playing. And then just, when I was home, just like wake up at like 9, treat it like a job and just try and do like a good 9 to 5 while I had the break. Because I do spurts of just working a job for a few months and then just take like about 2 months off, just do nothing but straight making tunes and then kind of find another job and then go in between that. But now with the SoundCloud, I can start building up the revenue from that, which has allowed me to kind of just have more time to take off. Because each month it kind of just comes in and it's like, that's helpful. Yeah,
you've got amazing numbers in your SoundCloud. You've got like 1 million streams on some of the tracks and that. You know what I mean? So talk to me about that. I mean, because I'm still trying to learn. Even after all this time, it still amazes me how some people manage to get such high plays and maybe it's just the music that I put on my SoundCloud shit. But you know, it's just there's definitely sort of tricks to the trade. I mean, is that something you sort of went out to learn? Did you study to do that, or is it just stuff you just sort of saw other people do?
Yeah, it was like, just when I was starting out, it was like free downloads still is kind of like, it's the way. You put a download gate on it. It's like, so I set mine to just do follow me on SoundCloud and all that stuff, and then I put my Spotify in there, which I make it as well, so people can skip it. They don't have to do that to download. But I put the Spotify on there, so that builds up the Spotify, and then when I do release, there's just more people who have clicked it, and then obviously they'll forget, but they might like the stuff, so if I come up on their Spotify, they might see it more, and so I just use that. But with the 1 million streams, that one caught me off, because that was when I started doing the Punk Goes D&B thing, so I was like, well, I like the rock music, and I like drum and bass, and I was like, why not put them together? Everyone kind of does like especially with Come Together, because like people like that kind of stuff, and also a lot of metalheads and stuff do like drum and bass. Like, it's a big crossover, I think. So when that one first went off, I did the Paramore song, which was like, they're quite a big band, and it was like one of their biggest songs, and it's very it was one of those songs that for people like my age was like, we'd be listening to it when we were like 13 or so it's also nostalgic. And then that kind of just took off when I put that on TikTok, and I was like, oh damn. And then the numbers kept climbing, and that was like the most plays I've had on something. Like, I'd normally get like a couple 100,000 on like the most I had before that was my Bob Marley remix, which was like 300,000 plays or so. But then that one just kept climbing, and I was like, oh damn, like, didn't expect it. So kept doing it. Like, I did the Teenage Dirtbag one, I did like Blink 182, Sum 41, and so I'm putting together like now a album of it, like with a few other artists, and this, going to put them on there, promote them, put them on the download gates, so just build it up something different. Like,
would you ever want to go back to doing the punk and the metal?
Yeah, I would like to. It was like, I've got some friends and we sometimes go to like the band studio, and like I'll play drums, a friend plays guitar, another friend plays the bass, and we just kind of jam and stuff, because I always like playing the drums. So when I got to year 9 in school, they were like, you can learn another instrument for free if you do music, and I was like, well, may as well do rhythm, stick with that, and then that's where I learned bass. So drum and bass, and then got into drum and bass.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it kind of just went from there.
Could do remixes of your own tunes, yeah.
Exactly.
Let's get on it. Do the hybrid thing. So I saw the Pick and Mix All Stars were at Hospitality last year. I mean, how was that? I mean, what was that experience like?
Yeah, that was certainly an experience. It was in, I can't remember what it's called, it was like Dermy, Albania, and it was like, the airport we went to was basically, it's one of those airports that either if you have family here, or if you live here, or you're connecting somewhere else, because it was like the most random place. And then, yeah, we got there quite late, and we had to get the artist shuttle, and it was supposed to be like a 2-hour drive or so, and then it just ended up being like 5 hours, and it was so long. Especially over there, I had like no signal or data. So, and then also my power bank ran out, so I was like, just please, I just don't want to sit on this bus for like 3 hours left with nothing. And it was like, we had to stop halfway, and then like the drivers had a break, and then I think it was like 2 of the drivers were drinking as well. It was just like, I don't know what company they used. I was like, Jesus.
Wow.
Like literally we got off and he just had the beer in his hand and was swishing, and we were like, right, we just need to get there and get off.
Yeah.
And then we got to the festival, and it was like, as well, there was no Wi-Fi. They had like these bands you're meant to use for the money, because it was all cashless, and they just weren't working, so people were just going off on that, like on the Facebook as well, trying to get it all sorted. But on the actual day that we were playing, was really good. We had our own stage, like a converted yacht, and everyone just had all their sets throughout the day. So it was kind of just coming in and out of consciousness after a few mini drinks, and then when the sun was out, just go lie in the ocean, just absolutely pissed. It was very fun. And
there was all stories about someone had died.
Yeah, so the day we got there, I think someone fell off their balcony, like, so there was a load of police like by this hotel and stuff, and it was like, just what are the chances as well, like literally right on the first night, which is, bless them, but it was not good for them.
Well, so someone did pass away?
Yeah, for what I saw, someone fell off the balcony. I think it was I don't know if they were going to the festival, or it was just a tourist who was there. Who
happened to be at the festival. Oh, I see, yeah, because I'd heard certain things, and I was like, oh, I mean, that's not, I mean, it's, it didn't seem, because it's Albania, right, and so that's not really like a known destination, certainly not for jungle and drum and bass.
Yeah, they had to, it was meant to be in Croatia, I think, as normal, but then they couldn't get, like, everything because of COVID. And it was like, the whole time it was like, yeah, you need to get your 2 jabs and everything. And it was like, I'm not really indifferent to that. It was like, I got mine done. But it was like, as soon as we were about to fly out, they were like, you don't need it anymore. And I was like,
yeah.
Because I hate needles. So that's the main thing when it comes to vaccines and stuff like that. Like, I just hate needles in general.
Well, personally, I just like vaccine to actually vaccinate you from the thing rather than tell you that it's going to make you less sick. But that's just a personal thing. I mean, I've had loads of vaccines in the past, but if this thing doesn't actually protect you from it, then it's not a vaccine. It's an experiment. And so, but that's just me. It's my opinion. All right? I'm not going to start that whole, thing. I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm not saying anything more now, because I want my video to stay up.
Yeah, we was over there, and it was like I was saying to you, it was on like 2 a.m. They just shut down the whole thing. Yeah. And I was saying that before the police came to shake them down for some money. Yeah. But it turned out that the president of Albania's daughter had a baby, and she was staying nearby, and the festival kept waking up the baby. So she rang up Daddy and was like, "Can you tell him to turn it off because the baby won't sleep?"
Daddy, the baby will not sleep. Oh no, that was terrible. I don't even know what Albanians sound like. I probably shouldn't do that. It's gonna probably be a bit racist. No, but it's like that's some privilege, isn't it? Jesus Christ, man. It's like, just, it's only for a week. It would have been alright.
Yeah, it was as well. I missed my first flight back because the only flight I could get was like really early. But it takes like, let's say really early, it was like 10. But it takes 5 hours to drive there. So I went back to the Airbnb after they shut it off, and apparently it had, it kept going after like half an hour or so. But then I got back to the hotel and I had to wait like about an hour to get to my the shuttle, and then just I ended up crashing out. And then I woke up 15 minutes after it had left, like the shuttle would have left, and I was like, pardon me, for fuck's sake. Yeah. Had to stress, and then I had to book another flight later in the day for like 350 quid, and I was just like,
oh god.
It was literally just ridiculous just to get back, and I couldn't claim back on the other one because I missed the flight. And it was like, thank God. So then me and JP went to the airport, and we're sitting there, and we start seeing London flight cancelled. Okay, not R1. Like 20 minutes later, another London flight cancelled. Not R1. And then there's like 2 left. That like one is ours, and then we see the other London flight cancelled, and we're just like, please God. I was like, at this point, I was like, I just want to get home, man.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get home. And then literally it was there and it started flashing and I was like, don't do this to me. And then they just had to delay it half an hour and I was like, thank God. It was like, whereas before, because I hadn't flown for so long, obviously with the pandemic and that, like, my body hadn't readjusted to it. Like before, when I was doing shows and going over to like Austria or Belgium and stuff, and we'd be flying each weekend, I was alright with it. But at the time, my body was just like, I don't even want to get on the plane right now. Like, just touched down. I got to Gatwick, got to Heathrow, and luckily, because I live in Finsbury Park, so it was just straight Piccadilly line.
Yeah.
Just sat back and I was like, just napped the whole way home and just hibernated. But it was like, oh, you know what? Get to go over with like pretty much like, it was basically like a lad's holiday.
Yeah.
Because we're all mates, so just go over, have a good time, actually in the sun, like a holiday. So I hadn't been anywhere, and I was like, you know what? It's good. I need to top up the melanin, you know. It's been too long. Yeah. And then came back, and that was it. And that was like one of the last shows I've done. Yeah. Next one I've got is this Saturday in Stoke Newington. Our friend has a barber shop, and they're doing like a little intimate, like 100-man little rave down there.
Where? This Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming. Shit, that's just around the corner.
Yeah, it was perfect.
There's a lot going on around here actually at the moment. I quite like that. There's a lot of little bars, little places, little things going on. So that is great. All right, make sure you send me the details of that. And actually, I'll send me the details. I'll put it on the thing as well. So you're saying you're not really so keen. Well, it's like you don't want to DJ, but you know you're not getting as kick out of it as you used to.
Yeah.
And so your energy is sort of going back into your music. So would you, if someone described you as a jump up artist, how would you feel about that? Would you be offended? Would you feel, no, that's right, that's what I am? Or
I mean, like everything I make is kind of all over the place, really, in terms of styles, but. Sometimes most of what I DJ is like kind of jump up, or I'll do a mix of like dark stuff with jump up and kind of a load of different elements. So if someone says that, I don't really have a problem. Like, as long as they like the music, that's all good with me. Yeah,
that's true. Because I mean, it's a very controversial genre for some reason. I've never really understood it. I've always had a lot of respect for the jump up scene. I mean, obviously when I was younger, I used to be like whatever about it, you know, like a lot of people. But I think as I've got older, I've sort of come to appreciate that, you know, jump up at its essence is just, it's not so much a style, it seems to be more of like, you know, the sort of, it's almost like an age group thing in a way, you know, like, so
it's a lot more of like, it's, you know, people call like the Fisher Price music. It's like, you know, you get all the little kids in there, get them into it, and then they kind of
it's
open
like
up the world.
Drug. Yeah.
That's kind of it. It was like, for me, because it just has, a lot of the time it's like very fast paced, very hard, and like some of the noises are just so ridiculous that I'm just like, oh, like how the hell did you make that?
Yeah.
And that's what I like for me. Like, it's all about energy for me. Like, sometimes I just want to be like, oh, just get absolutely pumped, and then sometimes I might want to watch like Randall and just kind of just slow it down and just kind of feel it out. So it's good to like have a balance, I think, on especially like a lot of varied events. Like, you want to have someone like, you know, literally someone like Fabio just kind of come on, mellow the place out, like just have a nice rolling set, and then you have someone come on who just brings up the energy, and then you can kind of bring it down again and do it up. Or, you know, if people don't really like the rollers, they can go for the smoke breaks, talk to their friends, and then come back in, and it kind of just rotates, I think, like when it comes to programming a night.
It is funny how rollers became sort of synonymous with that sort of like, well, I mean, foghorn, whatever people was calling it, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I think Burt Ends, you know, for me, it was one of those sort of first tunes that people were calling, it was like atonal note kind of sound. I mean, it was, you know, I mean, you had the one from, oh, God.
There was like the Tyke tune, I can't remember which one it was. There was like one of the first, I can't remember what it's called, but there was like Tyke tune that was like a few years before that. That was kind of like one of the first folk-on-y kind of songs. And it was just so cool. It was like, it's something completely different, but then it just kind of became, well, what sound can I make that I can drag out and then kind of get everyone excited for on the first bit of the drop. And then sometimes there wasn't really anything more interesting to the song. You're just waiting for the 4 bars to go, so then you hear the noise again. So I always like the ones, or when I wouldn't try and make something foghorny, I try and make the tune have some other elements so it keeps you listening.
I did, I think there was one on a Prototype that was sort of foghorny, but it was it Cabin Fever? Or Cabin Fever, I think it was. I can't remember the name of the guy. No, not Cujo. No, it wasn't Cujo. I can't remember the name of the guy. I heard one on Prototype that was sort of in that realm. And I was like, but I like that noise though. The way he's done it, it just sounded, it was atonal, it was a bit dystopian or whatever, but it just really seemed to fit. And then, you know, but then for me, there was sort of like tracks like Trident, you know, from Serum, for example, which had that sort of, it had a jump up-esque feel because it was sort of tuneful, but it, you know, dare I say, it sounded very smart, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Not saying that other stuff isn't smart, but just, you know what I mean. It just sounded
well
like
put together.
It was
like,
really well put
precisely.
together. I really loved that tune, and then actually another one of Chickens Rollers, Voltage. He did that track Black Mamba for Ram, you know, and I loved that because it's just, it sounded like an old V thing really, or like Dope Dragon or something like that, and it just sort of like, you know, had a sort of energy to it and a vibe, and I always play it a lot in my sets, and I love finding mixes for those sorts of tunes with something that maybe I would more naturally play, like a Paradox or Equinox tune or whatever, and people are, you mixing? It's like, yeah, why not? Do you know what I mean? It's fun because, you know, it's just, to me, that's what's so fun about drum and bass. You can just sort of throw things together and see what comes out.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, do you think there's going to be another evolution to this sound, or do you think that it's sort of, like you say, it's sort of going to be circular, so we'll sort of go between sort of rollers and then back to sort of like more traditional jump up, and then go back to rollers and more traditional? I mean, what do you think, or do you think there's something else that people might find, or?
Yeah, I mean, you can never tell sometimes because different sounds will just come through at the most random times. Like that Foghorn was just like, after Burnt Ends came out, everyone just wanted to kind of replicate it, do the thing.
Yeah.
And then Serum did that Chop House tune that was kind of like the weird wobbly bass.
Yeah.
And people were kind of trying to use that. So there might be something else that kind of pops up, but everything I think now is kind of becoming like homogenized. So like Jump Up and Rollers, there isn't really kind of much of a distinction between some of them.
No.
Like some of them you can classify as a jump up tune, but the kind of way you could view it, you could say it's a roller, but then it comes down to semantics, and you know, I think it's all just one big melting pot, especially just of like different styles, and whatever just kind of comes out will just bubble to the top.
Yeah, because I do think that the jump up sound, to me, I mean, this is just me with my, you know, sort of like, you know, unknowledgeable ears, so to speak. The jump up sound seems to be more, it's like there's like a nursery rhyme tuneful thing to the bass line. Whereas the rollers, it was all a bit more atonal. So it's just like, you know, it's just about putting together 3 sounds or 4 sounds that kind of don't work but do kind of thing, you know what I mean? And
rollers, I think, brought back the importance of the drums, which is what I liked. Like, that's the most important thing for me in a tune. Like, you could have a bass line or whatever on top of it that might be a bit naff, but if your drums are like heavy hitting, or they like just flow nicely, or the percussion is good, that'll just keep the tune going. And that's especially like with Serum stuff, he's always got like a lot of pots and pans or like shakers and different things coming in there. So I think that's what's something that was important, because Jump Up is quite like simple, just kick snare, kind of kick snare, but I always like the stuff that keeps evolving. Because like in all of my songs, I at least try to make every 8 bars there's something new coming, so that if you're listening to the song just like in general, you'll be like, oh, there's a new element, and then like a few bit later, oh, there's another little thing, whether it's a switch in the bass line or just some breaks in the background or something, like just it keeps the listener engaged, because I don't want songs that I make as well just for people to mix. Like if you have it on Spotify or whatever, and you know you're on the tube and you're just listening to it, it was like, okay, rather than like, here's the bit of the drop I like, skip onto the next one, like be like, oh, okay, here's the bit where it comes in, or wait for the build up to like the nice bit that you want. So I always like to keep everything just evolving as it goes.
Because there are some great tunes out there, and it is about evolution, it is about changing. I mean, someone told me once that, you know, you got to have a major change in the track every 15 seconds, you know what I mean? And so you don't feel like you're going to DJ much, but have you had opportunities to play at like the next hypes or anything like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I was at one
since you're...
So I was at one, I'm on the next one in January. I've had some people inquire for some shows as well for next year, so see how they pan out. Like people just keep coming up, so yeah, just whenever it comes, it's like I won't turn down the opportunity to do that. But before, it was like, especially as well before, that was basically when I wasn't having a job, that was my income. So I had to be doing shows every weekend or going here, there, everywhere, you know. And like, I'm always down to negotiate. If people are honest with me and don't mess me around like with shows, I'm happy to. Because sometimes, especially before COVID, a lot of the shows were like just grassroots. It was like, you know, a few lads in their town who wanted to put on a party, got some money together. And if they come to me and they're like, look, like we can't afford that price, but we could do you this. And I was like, okay, you know, as long as you're honest with me, and I'd be like, okay, cool, I'll do you this deal. Then if you do another event and you want to hit me up, then we'll talk like properly. But it's, you know, you've got to give back to the people as well. Because I think it's a give and take. Like a lot of like people don't realise that it's like without the ravers and the people and the promoters, you wouldn't be able to do this every weekend. So as long as people aren't trying to just like, you know, lowball me or try and get it for low, you know, everyone does. It was like, I'll take the honesty. It was like, I'd much rather do that, and it makes their night that, you know, I could come down, or other people as well, that they get to see me wherever they are. So I'm always happy to, like, negotiation's always good.
I mean, you mentioned Leveler as a major influence. Would there be anyone sort of more from the older guard that you might have earmarked, or is it just sort of pretty much been Leveler and?
Yeah, it was like growing up. I never really listened to much drum and bass. Like my dad would play some jungle sometimes.
Yeah.
But it'd kind of just be whatever was kind of on the radio. But
right.
It was coincidentally like him and my uncles used to run like forest raves and stuff in the 80s and stuff like that I didn't even know. Like they used to work with like old Fantasia and things like that. So I think it was kind of in my blood without even knowing it. So when I got into drum and bass, he was just like what are the chances? Because when, you know, as much as he didn't like the metal and stuff, he was like, well, it keeps me off the streets doing whatever. He was like, you know, I'd rather you be biting the heads off the bat than
robbing some kids on the street or something. Getting involved with some madness on the street. But like, what bands then would you have looked up to then, like when you were doing the metal thing?
So like
Paramore, I would imagine.
Paramore. Like I loved a lot of old like thrash metal, so like Megadeth, Metallica, Slayer, like Nirvana, Foo Fighters, like just
Queens of Stone Age.
Queens of Stone Age. Like Bullet for My Valentine was like one of my favourite bands as well. It was just like kind of all over really with that.
I saw Rammstein have got Rammstein.
I
saw they got a new single out or something.
They're doing like a big tour at the moment.
Is it like it was called a duo though? Is that a farewell? Are they splitting up or?
No, I don't know.
Okay, because that means goodbye, isn't it? It means farewell,
I didn't know
isn't it?
they were, but I mean, them lot I think are like their 50s or so by now.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting on a bit now. But they've been around a long time though. I mean, even that's what I'm saying. Even I know who Rammstein are. That's how big they are, right? You know what I mean? If people know you outside your scene. You're big, like you're massive. Like
the stadiums, them not sell out. Like
I mean, it's like 100,000. Yeah, I mean they're huge. They're absolutely. I mean, I was a massive Biffy Clyro fan back in the day. Like, I didn't really like how they became a bit poppy and a bit weak. I don't know, they're sort of a bit too whiny and weak. But I liked how they were like Beneath the Blackened Sky. That album, I really fell in love with them because Jacob, my son's mother, she was Smashing Pumpkins and
I like Smashing Pumpkins.
You know what I mean, and all that sort of stuff. So it was hard not to, you know, when you spend that amount of time around someone, they're playing their music, you're playing their. There's certain things I learned about Foo Fighters because of her and Queens of Stone Age, and obviously, you know, Smells Like Teen Spirit is that one rock tune that most black people know. It's like, nah man, the beats are rough because it's a ba-dum, 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 you know what I mean? It's like, you know, the beats in that one was kind of bad, and you know, I remember playing that tune. I used to play in these you know, like sort of like bars and stuff around London, and like I'd have to play like Mary J. Blige and you know, Beyonce and all the pop stuff. But then I'd always put on Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yeah. Everyone would always get up and dance to that one. That was like the commercial smash that, you know, I guess they needed and wanted, and it sort of blew up. So, I mean, would you go back? Sorry, I did ask that already, but I mean, is that part of that is part of who you are now? That's not really ever going to go. You're not just going to say, "Well, I'm a drum and bass man, full on." You're always going to go back to that.
Yeah, it's like if opportunities arise and I can get into it, definitely, because it's. I just always, as well, I like performing, which is why, like, when I mix is when I get so energetic, because it's like, I just want to make sure, you know, people forget that even DJing is a performance, like, as much. And when I used to play in bands, I used to have a wireless connector for my bass. So I'd be, like, playing and I'd jump out in the crowd, like, start playing there, just run around, do whatever, because it brings the energy up and it's nice and fun. So I always like performing when it comes to band stuff. And also that feeling of like when you get in a groove and you know like you're doing good, it's such a good feeling. So yeah, definitely, like I write stuff now that's kind of metal-y, but a bit just like with MIDI, like I've got this like fake guitars and stuff like that, and just sometimes to kind of not be producing drum and bass every day, because that's sometimes you just give yourself burnout. So I like to make just different stuff like on my own time. I'll make like hip-hop sometimes some days, or you know, just something like really orchestral, and then just maybe like a few months later I'll be like, oh, I made those chords and these horns, and then I'll implement them in my tune. Or if someone else I know is working on something, I'm like, oh, I got something cool that you can use. Like not even just like to collab, but like sometimes I have stuff and I'd be like, hey, if you want to use it, I'm not going to do it. But at least it goes somewhere.
And could that be? Have you ever seen Pendulum?
No.
You never saw a live show? Yeah, because I never. I think, did I see him? I mean, obviously I knew him as DJs, and I've always got to give El Hornet. Got to give you props, mate. I haven't really told this story on camera, but I was playing at a nightclub called Heat in Perth. And the promoter was a guy called Jake the Snake. I hope you're well, mate. And I was doing an Australian tour, and they had me down as sort of like a Booker Mess kind of guy.
Yeah.
What I didn't know was that a Hornet was coming to my night in secret in London, technicality, just up the road from here, at a place called Herbal. And he lived in Hoxton at the time, and he was coming to the night. So I didn't know him. I didn't know. And apparently, this Jake the Snake guy spoke to El Hornet and said, "Oh, I've got him coming." And he had me down to play like last because he thought what I played was sort of like Booker-me, sort of like Intelligent Jungle. And nah, man, they're playing proper choppage, man. No, you got to put them on after Calix and TB. And El Hornet gave me like, you know, gave me the nod, and Jake said, "Oh yeah, sure." And so I got to play after Calix and TB, which is when I got to meet Calix and TB. Well, I knew TB already, but it's when I got to meet Calix. So always got to give props to El Hornet because without even knowing me, he actually gave me a little big up. Yeah, man. So it's definitely someone that I would look up to, and there was Koshin as well, who was sort of like rock based. Sort of like rock based drum and bass band as well. I don't know if you ever checked them out. You should check them out.
Okay, I'll have to have a look into it.
Yeah, check them out. So what other music outside of metal and drum and bass? Is there any other music you'd like to listen to?
At the moment, it's like drill is kind of taken over.
Okay.
I'm loving it, especially because I'm getting back into gym and getting myself sorted. So
I
need stuff that's like just, it's got a lot of energy, especially like I like the flows.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of artists as well, especially now in drill. It's getting more than just, you know, stabbing man down the road and all the things it used to kind of be about. But now there's a lot of songs that are just like really high energy, like.
So that element's come out of it, has it? You find?
I think after like a lot of the police kind of got involved. Like there's still obviously a lot of drill that's like that, but now people can kind of just rap whatever kind of on a drill beat if they wanted to. But then there's also some ones where it's just like, you know, if I'm in the gym and I'm just trying to do a chest press, like I just want something that just gets me fucking going, like, yeah, that's
and hip hop at all?
Hip hop sometimes, but it's a lot more like kind of old stuff. I was listening to. Like just I love like old Wu-Tang, like especially. Like I've just been getting back into it. Like that's kind of what my dad would be playing around the house and stuff like that. Like,
stop saying that, you're making me old. You're making me feel old. Because I kind of feel like me and your dad are probably the same age, probably. So it's like we probably play the same sort of stuff. But no, but that's the beautiful thing about, you know, the generational thing is that I one thing that's always irritated me a little bit about some of my peers is how dismissive they are of the generations to come and after them. And I've never been that way. I've always been sort of like, nah, everyone's got their time, innit? It's like maybe you need to sit back and let them like have their time now. You know what I mean? And I'm always sort of like quite critical of people in my peer group who are critical of people in your peer group, if you like, because I just think everyone's got their time, everyone's got their sound, everyone's got their emotion, everyone's got their thing that they're into, and.
It's because I find, like, the way I look at it is there's a big cake and everyone just wants the cake to themselves when there's enough to go around. 100%. So then you'll have the older lot who'll make their circle and then lock it off. And then us lot trying to come up can't get through that. So then we have our own circle now. And then it just kind of cycles on. So I always try to look out for new younger producers or give help. Like someone just hits me up and I was like, you know, how do I make this? Or do you have any advice for doing that? It's like, always got to give back because as much as you can go up, you can go down. And it's like, you know, there's enough to go around and you work with people and you build actual bonds where, you know, there's a lot of people who are just there to use you while you're hot for the moment and then disappear. But if you've got people who are genuinely like, you know, you can care about in a space and, you know, want to see them succeed, then it's for the better because it doesn't need to just be a big lock. Like if they opened it up and helped as well, like, you know, because as well, a lot of the time I think a lot of the older lot think that we won't listen, which in most cases a lot of people won't. They'll be like, "Oh, shut up, man." Why you But if you know you foster it properly and give like actual advice and discussion, you know, help us learn, help them learn. Because
I think sometimes we have I've noticed people in my peer group that have a tendency to go, you lot don't know. It's like, well, no, they fucking do. Don't say that to them because they're just gonna think you're a cunt. Like, I mean, I won't name check him, but there's someone that really used to. I mean, we don't even talk now because he got my back up so much, but he was always having a go about, you know, well, if a DJ can't, if these young kids can't play vinyl, right? And I'm like, look. You can't expect, you know, I run Clashmouth, you know, with Dexter, shout out Dex, and thanks to everyone that comes to Clashmouth on Saturday at House of Band. But, you know, you can't just sort of knock someone because they don't play a particular format. That's the way that some of these people have got into the music, and you've got to respect that, and you just got to let them do that what they're doing. You can't, you know, sort of expect them to pull out a pair of Technics and pull out old, like, fucking third-party records or Face Records or whatever the fuck it is and start playing a load of old school jungle. That's not going to happen. You know, do you know what I mean? The kids that, you know, who are, you know, 25 and under maybe, who happen to get into that you know, and who are playing that stuff, you know, again, like No Nation, I mean, he's like 28, 29, you know, he's got a lot of old school stuff that he's bought and went out and bought and whatever, and that's his choice. But then there's others that aren't so into that, and they like the digital realm, and they want to keep their music, and they like the idea of being able to make a tune on a Friday morning and then play it out on a Friday night without having to cut a dub plate. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Every weekend my dad would say to me, it was like, just, when I used to have to carry the record boxes and things like that, and he's like, now you just walk up with a fucking USB.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I love that. I mean, shit. I mean, like, it's, look, I mean, I did an American tour, and I was walking around with these 2 massive boxes of records, never again. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's knackering, but I get it. I get that, you know, for some people that format is almost like revered, and you know, and obviously I worship vinyl like anyone else. Yeah. But at the same time, I get why, you know, that someone who's not of that generation would find that really annoying and irritating.
Especially now as well, you can have the virtual vinyls things like Andy uses, where it's just connected to his laptop, but he's still like playing it. Yeah. So it really is like, as well, trying to buy vinyls these days, especially for drum and bass, is really hard. Like, unless you're getting it directly sold as a new print,
or you're coming to Clashmouth. There's a lot.
Very smooth.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I did it, because I think that there was that notion that you couldn't really buy new vinyl, and there is a lot of great new vinyl out there, and if you want to come and buy it, you can. But yeah, sorry, finish what you say. Sorry.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, especially finding like old ones as well. Like, unless you find some really obscure shops, or you're buying online, or from someone who just has a big collection. Yeah, it was like you can't really just. You know, I can download an MP3 in 2 seconds, and I can download 100 MP3s in about a minute. So it was like you can get into the tunes way faster than back then as well, because we're all digital now, basically. Like, you know, I didn't grow up in the time where you'd go to the vinyl shops. Like, when I was growing up, it was CDs was the whole thing. Yeah. So it was like, but I would have loved the hunt of going from this record shop to that one. Yeah. Or like when my dad would tell me they used to go black market, because my uncle used to drive Nicky Black Market up and down the country, like just giving out white labels and stuff.
Wait, I'm wondering if so how old's your dad then?
My dad's like, he's 1970. So
he's born in 1970?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's a bit older than me then, so I'm 76, so he'd be like 54, 54, okay, but I wonder if I know him. But anyway. So you were saying about your uncle though?
So he used to drive Nicky up and down like the country, giving out like white labels and stuff like that, like he studied me, so it's always that kind of stuff just seemed interesting to me. Yeah. And as well, I do like having physical stuff, so having vinyls is like, it's really nice to just hold, it's really nice to have tactile, but if you know, everything I wanted on vinyl you can't get unless you're going to go press it yourself.
Exactly. But then you do have that sort of, those people that, you know, you got this Planet Wax now, they do this sort of like the acetate cuts. So you can sort of like maybe have 2 of your tunes. If you wanted to do like an all vinyl set of your tunes, cost you a bit, but I'm just saying not as much as it would have done to cut dub plates. Yeah. And so there are sort of new technology that sort of like, you know, sort of meet you in between. So there are some people that are quite sort of diehard about the vinyl only thing, and I respect that too. But I also understand why, you know, a label like Pick and Mix or, you know, or Evictor or some of the other labels that are coming up now that would just like, vinyl, no. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's like the overheads it would take to do like a limited run. Exactly. Especially when it's like you can't guarantee you're going to sell it.
Can't guarantee you're going to sell it, and the audience base might not necessarily have players. So, you know, and that's not to do vinyl down, because I think that there is a lot of value to vinyl. I think there's a lot of legacy and reverence that vinyl still has. But it's like, yeah, I get it. I get that having a key, and you can have, you know, and the thing about the key as well is like, if you've record boxed up your tunes, you know, you're playing it on the CDJs, you can go from drum and bass, you can decide to start playing garage if you want, or
that's
whatever.
What I do, like in my sets. Like, I'd always have like a switch. Like before, when I used to go to Belgium, people would always play like dubstep in the middle of their sets, and it was like, I don't really like dubstep too much, but I love like UK bassline, like the niche kind of stuff, the really weird sounds, and they love like the weird sounds over there. So I started playing bassline over there in the middle of my sets, and in the beginning it was like, Red X, what are you playing? What's this fucking shit you're bringing over to us? And then slowly they started warming to it. And then they did this event called Skank and Bass. It was like a big one, 5 rooms. Yeah,
I know Skank and Bass. Yeah.
So they did that.
It's the guy that runs it.
It was Michelle.
Michelle?
Yeah.
No, who's?
Oh no, not Skank and Bass. There was a Belgian one called Skank and Bass.
Oh.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same? Wait.
No.
Sorry.
So there's one called Skank and Bass. Yeah. And there's one called Skank and Bass.
And Bass. Yeah. Right. Oh wow. Okay.
So it was like a big Belgian one, and it was like they have a dubstep room, a bassline room, drum and bass. And they did like the first bassline room, and my set was on it. It was like a 90-minute one, and the room was so packed that you couldn't get in or out. Like, they were so excited for it, but it was just slowly, you know, you got to warm them up to the different music. And then after that, suddenly a load of our events started having different bassline rooms, and there was people were like in the beginning cussing me out for it, and then afterwards I was just like, look, like I know the stuff's good. You cannot knock it.
If you like what you like, you can't know what you like, innit? Just playing what you're playing, just enjoying it, and just getting on with the vibe of what we're doing, innit? You know what I mean? And what you're doing, more to the point. And I mean, it's just, it is an interesting time though, man. I think there's like, I feel like we're on the cusp of something, and I feel like COVID has, you know, sort of brought about a lot of ingenuity, and people have been stuck at home. You know, they've been, you know, sort of thinking of new ways they can make money, thinking of new ways they can sort of get their music promoted and pushed. And I think we're in a sort of, I think we're about to hit a little golden age. I really do. I think for the music, I think there's some really interesting things being made. You know, and I think there's tunes that are like big or like getting known that maybe wouldn't have necessarily been as big, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, you know, in that particular style. I mean, would you say that there's going to be sort of like a time, do you think there's the crossover track hasn't, I mean, there's not many crossover tracks nowadays, unfortunately, because I think that there's genres are so well defined. Do you think there's a chance of like of that happening again? That someone's going to make a tune that's just going to be able to, like, you could play in a jump up rave, that you could play in a more commercial wave?
I think so, because it's like the last one I kind of think in that kind of aspect is like Sigma. I know you. I can't remember what it's called. My brain is just.
I'll probably would know it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's that I know you're tired of love. Like that was. Like,
oh yeah.
My brain is just not remembering right now.
I know you're tired. Nobody to love. Nobody
to love. That was it. Yeah. So it was like, I think that was like just any rave. Like you was hearing that for the summer, for the festivals.
Yeah.
You know, you could play.
Probably wouldn't have heard Day Rupture though. But
yeah, we need something like that. So I think it's kind of getting there. And also as now with TikTok taking off, there's a lot more labels actually tuning in to the younger lot. And like, you'll see random, like, not like random in a rude way, but like you'll just see the guy who's got a TikTok song that blows up and the label take it in, do an official remix or start looking into other people who are making that kind of stuff. And so I think there's going to be a lot more of younger talent being able to get actual industry experience rather than just like the build-ups of grassroots labels or things like that. There's a lot more of a direct channel to them. So I think definitely like in a few years we're going to have like just a renaissance of like just stuff that you can hear on the radio, you could hear like, you know, in the rave, or you could like see going over to America and get them, because they're slowly getting onto drum and bass because of TikTok, because there's so many like so many sounds that will just like blow up. So like you have a video, but then you can use an audio. So like, you know, you make a tune and then people will make it like maybe them at a party or you know, singing along. So then like the sound might blow up. And so TikTok is slowly getting there for America, and they're starting to you know, do more. So like you'll see in like the big festivals, like the dubstep DJs will be playing some drum and bass that you never would like a few years ago. So I think now there's finally like going to be a big spread. It was like it's kind of been going through different places. It was like I think Australia and New Zealand the last like a year and a bit has just been like the place. Everyone's in New Zealand every 2 minutes, like going here, there. So
yeah, I saw Dimension got himself in trouble out there, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't really understand what he did. What did he do?
So he was meant to stay in the for about like a week or so or whatever, and then I think he went out and he was like the first case of the new variant over there. It was like not even just like normal, it was like that new one that was just coming. He was like the first
he had it.
Yeah, I think so, or he got it, or he went out, but yeah.
Oh wow, so he was responsible for bringing the thing to New Zealand.
I think as well that he was like, it was like a day before he was allowed to go out again.
Yeah.
And it was like, you could have waited one more day.
Waited one more day.
It was like Sod's Law as well. Like,
but is that I had a bit of a run in with Dimension at Fabric. I didn't know who he was though. I was sitting in a green room, and he put his arse in my face. You know when you're sitting down on a chair and then someone sort of stands, he's like, so say you're there, and I put my right leg there, and my arse is in your face. Alright? I said, mate, could you move your leg? Do you know what I mean? I didn't know who he was. I said, mate, could you just move your mate? And he looked down at me and then sort of did this and then sort of waved his hand in my face. No, right, you see, you can feel how annoying, you know what I mean? You can feel my anger. He even replayed it back in my head. And I said, mate, could you move your leg again? And he didn't, he ignored me. And then I basically got up and sort of pushed him. And then he turned round and then someone put their hand on my shoulder, someone that I work with who was a friend who unfortunately isn't anymore. And he sort of said, no, Chris. And I was like, I don't give a fuck who he is. Like, you know what I mean? He's got your fucking arse in my face. What are you doing? So, yeah. And he won't remember me. He won't care. But that was my only ever interaction with Dimension, and I thought he was a twat. And then, but I'm sure he probably thinks he's wonderful, and I'm sure he's a great talent. But I wasn't impressed, and you know, and his butt was so flat. You know what I mean? It's like You flat bottom in my face, man. Not that I wanted it to be beating me, you know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying? You know,
add salt to the wound.
just add salt to the wound. He wasn't even like a nice ass to look at. It's just like fucking, do you know what I mean? Just this flat bottom in my fucking face. And also he ripped off a fucking tune, that one, boom, chan, 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 yeah? That one, he ripped off Runnings, HMP, which come out of Frontline Recordings.
Yeah, people have compared that with the two. Like,
it's a blatant copy. It's like, he obviously heard it and thought, oh, and because he made it like Rude Boy, put like a Rude Boy sample or something in there. It's a blatant copy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, naughty. Anyway, you're welcome onto the podcast anytime though, mate. You know what I mean? That he's going to be knocking down my door anytime soon. But yeah, I ain't got no beef with the boy. But then when I saw him with the flamethrowers and that, I was like, the scene's changed. Like, you know, see, sort of, he feels like someone that was, maybe should have been in a boy band.
Yeah.
And kind of happened into drum and bass. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
he always dresses like so, like in the suits and everything. Like, all kind of proper. But there's like a German techno artist that, like, called, I think it's Geseffelstein or something. And it's like, basically, I think he just loves the guy because, like, so much of the stuff, like, just it's like the press shots look the same, like the style, the thing with the flamethrowers and stuff like that. Like, so I think he definitely probably influenced in that, like, music wise or style wise.
What happened to have fun your own way, man? Like, I don't understand. But anyway, I'm not here to judge anyone. That's obviously worked for him. He's incredibly successful. I do know another story where one of the DJs I knew from my former employee had to play before him, and the manager came up to him before his event, like, and said, oh, when you finish your set, can you put this stick in and just play the tune on the thing? And I said to that artist, I said, all right, well, did you say to the agent, you know, 300 quid? Because if I'm playing this, if I'm part of his set, so then you can pay me some of his fee. Like, I would have said, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not.
Come and put a USB in yourself.
He can't put a USB, no, but he wanted to come up from behind the stage, didn't he, with the smoke and all that sort of thing. I thought, fuck, you know, it's like, you know, we're in a different world now. Because apparently he was sort of like, he snuck onto the stage and apparently was standing next to the DJ, like hunched down next to him. So my man had to put the key in, play the first tune, wave goodbye, tell everyone off, grab his stuff, walk off. Tune's playing now, and then like, when she comes up from behind the decks, and it's like, all right, well, I get it, but you know, you should have weighed out that DJ a little something. Just, you know, even if it was a 50 quid or 100 quid, so not, you know, for each other. But it's just a different world. I can't imagine, you know, Ryder saying yes to that. Do you know what I mean? I would hope that the likes of Rue Ryder or Fabio or someone else, oh, God, oh, man, you just play your own tune, innit? Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's so much extra hassle sometimes, but you know, it's, as I say,
it's
performance. They want to,
it's performance. Yeah,
they got to be there artistic.
Yeah, it is crazy. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to?
At the moment, shout out to my boy Tesson. He's releasing some new music. Absolute bangers coming out as well.
Who's that, Tesson?
Tesson, yeah.
Yeah? What sort of style are you making?
A mix of jump up, a little bit of darker stuff. Like, he's taking a little bit of a break, but he's back. Finally getting some stuff out. So it was good to see him recently at Next Hype. And then shout out to all the Brown Team lot. Yeah. All the pick and mix a lot. Like,
yeah, cool. Well, look, man, this has been fascinating. I'm really glad to you come on board to have a little chat, man. But, you know, I'm a big fan of yours, and I will continue to be, as you know. And like I said, you know, I've been saying to, you know, Dave, who I live here with, you know, it's like, yeah, man, this guy, he's got afro and glasses, and makes me, he's like, does Donio and Paramore and different remixes and stuff. You got to check out his stuff. So, but I love you, man, and I really appreciate you coming in. And thank you very much. And I'll catch you up to next time. Yeah, man. Cool.
Sweet.
All right, man. Peace, everyone. Love.